What's up, guys? It is your girl Christina, tu vecina favorita que maquilla, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, bienvenidos. So today's video, I will be speaking on the struggles of being a Dominican YouTuber. Joy. So, as some of you may know, I started my channel primarily as just a makeup channel. That was what my goal was, just to do makeup tutorials. So my first non-makeup video I did was actually my ancestry DNA results video. And prior to that video, I had watched a bunch of other, Dominican's ancestry videos, and I just saw a lot of negativity on the comment. So I was a little hesitant to upload it, but I did. And surprisingly, the majority of the comments were actually quite positive from both Dominicans and non-Dominicans alike. So I was like, okay, so maybe I can make videos related to being Dominican and stuff like that without getting attacked. So from there, I've gone on to do quite a few different videos, either specifically related to Dominican culture. Like during Dominican's Independence Week, I did 4 different makeup looks. I did a carnaval look, a homenaje a la indietaína, homenaje a la negra, and also like an actual look on Dominican Independence Day. And then I've also done a few other videos just speaking on stuff related to us or about like race or culture in general. So I feel like as a Dominican on this here YouTube, there is a fine line. There is a very narrow path you must walk if you choose to speak on, culture and race. You have to be quite careful and selective on how you choose to speak on it if you want to appeal to Dominicans and non-Dominicans alike. Okay. And you definitely have to speak in a way where you're careful not to offend anyone or not to come off as, like you're trying to attack somebody else. One thing that I am a very strong believer in is if there is something that you don't agree on, like when it comes to another group of people, I feel like you can express, your disagreement without attacking the other group, without, coming off in a combative way. For me, I'm open-minded enough to where I can understand where other groups of people come from, especially when it comes to things relating to culture or race, where I can be like, hey, I see and understand why you feel this way, but let me show you why I think this way, or why Dominicans think this way. And for the most part, that has worked for me. I've been able to, attract viewers and have people comment on my videos that are Dominican and non-Dominican, and for the most part they've been positive comments, and that is something I'm really glad for. Especially doing makeup, on the one hand, it's like makeup is something that of course can be enjoyed by any and everyone, so of course I want to attract and appeal to people of different backgrounds. But also when I speak about things related to being Dominican, of course I want to appeal to Dominican people, but if I can appeal to non-Dominican people as well and kind of just give them a little more insight into our culture and the way that we think on certain things, then I would like to do that too. So I feel like being Dominican, and especially being a Dominican American or just being a Dominican that lives in the United States, it's almost like you have to exist in a state of dual consciousness, if that makes sense, or double consciousness, because on the one hand we have this culture that we identify with, right? Most of us have grown up probably just identifying as Dominican our whole lives. I know for me that's always been the case. When people have asked what I am, where I'm from, even though I'm American, like I might say I was born here in the US, but I'm Dominican, because that is my parents' culture. That's the culture that I identify with. It was never oh yes, I'm a Black Dominican or a Black Latina or an Afro Latina. It was always just Dominican. But with the way things have gone in these past couple years, and it just feels like racial tensions here in the US just get worse and worse. A lot of different subcategories have come about. But anyway, I just feel like Latin people in general have been very much under a microscope. And I mean, well, that's a whole separate issue, but so it's like, on the one hand, we know how Dominican society is. You know, for the most part, in DR, there isn't so much of a racial focus or racial divide. At the end of the day, everyone is quite mixed. A lot of us are very mixed with, Black. So to even try and separate people between races, or to try and separate the ones that are more like white or that have, more European heritage from the ones that are more Black and have more African heritage. I mean, honestly, it would just be pointless because, again, everyone is so mixed up. So basically, it's not like here where there's a very distinct white culture and there's a very distinct like Black culture and a very distinct Native American culture. Even over there, everyone, regardless of whether you're white or Black or whatever your skin color is, everyone shares the same culture, if that makes sense. And Dominicans in general, they refer to themselves as like nationalists or patriots. So everyone is able to band together under, their love for their country. So it's just a very different experience. And so us, even as Dominican Americans, we're aware of that. And we know that, most Latinos in general usually identify with their culture, their nationality before their race. So then, some of these Dominicans, they come to the U.S. and it's kind of like a culture shock because some of them, especially I feel like if you're a darker skinned Dominican, they are now confronted with this issue of race and how they are viewed here in American society. And of course, I mean, even us that were born here, even though, like for me, example, the topic of race was never a big topic in my house, but I know like with my parents, they didn't experience racism until they got to this country. Like I know my mom has said she had never in her life experienced any type of racism or racial discrimination until she came to the United States. And she got here, she was already in like her late 20s, I think, by the time she first arrived in the United States. And she experienced racism from a white person. Actually, she faced some discrimination from a Black person as well. So she, faced it from both ends. But yeah, so it's like, you come here with not, being from a country where there isn't so much of a focus on race to a country that is very race focused. And, for us that were born here, we already know what's up. But it's like, going back to what I said before, I feel like racial tension and all that, it's just like heightening even more. So it's like, you, as Dominicans, it's like you really can't just remain oblivious to this issue of race anymore. Like you just can't. And again, especially if you are a darker skinned Dominican, like we deal with, basically having to defend why we identify first with our culture versus our race. Because again, in this country, race is the primary focus. And, other groups of people, that is their focus. They look at race first. And for us, it's not like that. So it's like you come across people where it's like you tell them, yeah, I'm Dominican. And they're like, oh, okay, but you're Black. And I'm like, yes, I'm aware. I know that I am a Black woman racially, but I identify with my culture. I'm Dominican. Then it's like, but you're Black. Like, yes, I know. I see myself in the mirror every day. I know that I'm a Black woman, but again, I identify as Dominican. So it's like you find yourself in these type of arguments or situations where it's like you were trying to explain to people, I identify by my culture first, but identifying with culture or with nationality doesn't necessarily mean that I'm negating my race. And I think that is like where some of the confusion comes in, because people assume that because you identify by the country that you're not trying to identify a race or that you're denying your race, when that's not always necessarily the case. And I feel like Dominicans find themselves in this type of situation quite often, And so it's like on the one hand, we deal with that. And then, you know, with people saying, oh, you guys just kind of turn your blackness off and on when you feel it's convenient. It's just a lot of BS sometimes that we deal with. So that's what we deal with on one end, okay? So granted, being a Dominican in the United States and being, you know, subjected to this type of stuff, obviously we're going to make videos about it. We're going to speak on it. We're going to speak on how, you know, again, coming back to the state of double consciousness, we know that we're Dominican and that is what we primarily identify with. But again, we also have to be conscious and recognizant of the fact that in the United States, we are Black, or would be referred to as a Black Latina or an Afro Latina. So yes, we make videos about this, okay? And that is where we find ourselves getting attacked by other Dominicans. They see the words Black or Afro and Dominican in the same video title and they automatically go into attack mode. And I just want to be like, listen, just slow down. Just listen to what we're saying, okay? It's like they see us make these type of videos, and really it's just speaking on our experience as darker skinned Latinas or Dominicans, you know, in this country and the kind of things that we, you know, are confronted with. But they automatically go into, oh, you're trying to force all Dominicans to identify as Black now, and their favorite word they love using, Afrocentric, or you're just an Afrocentric, you know, you're pushing African American and Haitians agenda and all this bullshit. I'm like, yo, y'all are getting like all these words y'all are using, it's getting overplayed, it's getting tired, it's getting old. Like, slow your ass down and just listen to what we are saying, okay? We are not trying to push Dominicans to identify any type of way. And it's like, not only have I received this type of comments, but I've been seeing other Dominicans getting this type of comments too. And I've noticed it's like the same group of trolls that go around Dominican people's videos commenting the same type of stuff. But it's like, if you would take the time to listen to what we're saying, you would realize that no, it's not that we're now trying to push this type of race first type of thinking onto Dominicans. We're just speaking on what we are experiencing as Dominicans in the United States, okay? It's not that we're saying that now DR should operate the same type of way. No, DR has done just fine not having this whole type of racial divide. Now, if you want to talk about colorism and certain ideologies in DR that still kind of persist to this day, that's a whole nother topic. But as far as, you know, race itself and just the way racism is here, it's not a thing DR, and I think it should stay that way. I think DR, again, is doing fine without that being a thing over there. But again, you just can't not face the topic of race in this country. You just can't, okay? And so I feel like that's really what it comes down to, like the struggles of being a Dominican on YouTube, because it's like you want to explain to other groups of people why you identify the way you do, why you're not so race focused, or why you don't, you know, just say that you're Black. And it's like, no, I identify with my culture. But then on the other hand, it's like you're trying to explain to other Dominicans, like, hey, this is what we're going through over here. And this is why you see some of us now also saying, you know, along with being Dominican, that we're also a Black Latina or an Afro Latina and all these other things that really bothers them. And I see why. But again, I just want to be like, don't be so quick to go into attack mode. Just like understand what we're trying to say, okay? That's it. So it's just a struggle out here. Like I said, if you're gonna try as a Dominican to attract both Dominicans and non-Dominicans alike, you really have to find a way to speak in which you're not, you know, attacking other groups of people, but where, I don't know, I have to admit, when it comes to Dominican people, you don't really know what you're gonna get. Okay, it's like tossing a coin, heads or tails. You're either gonna get a Dominican that understands what you're saying and they will be like, yes girl, I get you, or you're gonna get a Dominican that's gonna automatically go into attack mode and assume what you're trying to say without really listening, you know. So it's a struggle out here. It is, you know. I feel like Dominicans are like, I don't know, like when among the Latin American community, we are the ones most like under the microscope right now. And it's just a hot mess, man. It's a hot mess. And something also that I've been seeing is, as much as, okay, so like I said, most Dominicans are not race focused, but there are a few that, as much as they say they're not, they are, but they're more on a more pro-white, anti-black type of thing. And it's like they hate these pro-black agendas, so they say these Afrocentric agendas, but then they're over here pushing Eurocentric agendas. And okay, this is my thing. If you as a Dominican, if you just don't like African Americans and you just don't like Haitians, that's one thing. But then to talk about the black race as a whole, I'm like, I don't agree with that. Because I'm like, how can you be a Dominican and talk so lowly of the black race when we are part of that? We are a part of the African diaspora. We are, so many of us are more racially black than we are white. So I just don't understand how a Dominican can speak that way about the black. The other day I had commented on another Dominican YouTuber's video, and this troll commented under my comment and was like, "Ya tu negrura da asco," basically saying your blackness disgusts me. And I was like, wow. Like I responded back to him in Spanish, but I was like, I don't understand how a Dominican that claims to love his country can speak that way to another person. And I was like, well, if my blackness disgusts you, then I'm assuming the blackness of so many of our Dominicans disgusts you too. And I was like, in case you didn't know, us darker skinned Dominicans were also included under the vision of the founding fathers, like the founding fathers of Dominican. So again, it's like, how can you speak that way when all I have done, and even this other Dominican YouTuber, shout out to Lenny Bunny, hey girl, if you're watching this video, but she is like my mental twin on here on YouTube. So if you comment, Lenny, check out her comment, subscribe to her channel. It's like, yo, we're not over here pushing an agenda because she got told the same BS I was told. You know, we're not telling Dominicans, oh, you guys should now identify as Afro-Latinas and this and that. No, we're just speaking on our experience, you know, like the stuff that we face with black people and with other Dominicans, like, or other Latinos. That's all it was. But again, it's a struggle out here. And that especially I don't like, because I'm like, yo, we're all Dominicans here. Like, why are we fighting each other? Like, this is ridiculous. It's stupid. Like, guys, we have a common love here, which is a love for our culture. So there is no need to, you know, be fighting each other. Like, at least take the time to listen to what we're saying before you comment, you know? So shout out to those of you who actually take the time to listen. There's one nationalist in particular. If you're listening to this, your name is Estrelleta. So thank you. Because again, I know you're a nationalist and you listen to some of my videos, but I feel like you get what I'm saying for the most part. So thank you. Okay. I pay attention, okay, to my subscribers, or even if you're not subscribed or you're just a viewer, I pay attention to what y'all say. And like I said in my Dominican rant video, you know, most of the comments I've received from other Dominicans have been positive, and most, I believe, are open-minded enough to hear what I'm saying. And, you know, I think most Dominicans realize that, you know, I always defend my Dominicans, at least the ones that are worth defending. And, you know, I go hard for my culture, but at the same time, I realized where I am, okay? I'm not living in DR, I'm living in the US, so I also have to be hip to how things work here, and that just is what it is, you know. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give me your insight on, you know, this whole dilemma, especially if you're another Dominican YouTuber, because I see it. I watch a lot of videos from, you know, see how they get attacked by either, you know, Black people or, you know, African Americans or other Dominicans even. So it's a struggle out here, man. It's like you try to make everyone happy, but you can't. You just can't. So it's like you have to develop a thick skin, man. I said this in my video too, like being on YouTube, not everyone's gonna like what you have to say, whether they're Dominican or not. You can't make 100% of everyone happy. So with that being said, check out my last video, which was my favorite Dominican foods. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my Dominicana de Pura Cepa series, where I have a few different like chatty videos, a few different makeup videos, all dedicated to my beautiful Dominican culture. And I'll see you all in the next video.